next to a tree, you know, and whatever desiccates the soil.
The pledge and a prayer. I pledge
allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Dear Heavenly Father, we come to you today asking for your peace and prosperity for the city that we love. We pray in hopes that you give the governing body the wise decision-making skills to make this community a better place to live in. Please, God, use us as a tool to best serve you. In Jesus Christ's name we pray. Amen. Okay.
Approval of the agenda.
Motion by Larry,
Second.
second by Brent. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Okay. Citizen comments? Yes, you got 3 minutes. What would you like to talk about?
Well, what I would like to talk about is 101 North Cedar Street. I've talked to John Kemple, and we've got an agreement on the price on the house. I've got a demolition team set up to knock that house down. I want to know the city's input as far as taking that house down. I'm hearing eminent domain is some kind of rumor going around town. Can you give me a little insight on that?
First, can you state your name and address, please?
Oh, my name's Ward, W-A-R-D, Hilliard, H-I-L-Y-A-R-D, 207 East First Street.
Thank you.
We want to knock the house down and clean off the, I also own the house 102 Cedar Street across the street. So I've been watching that house, and like I said, me and John's come to a conclusion on a price. I've got a demo team set to go. What's the city's version on eminent domain? Is that even in the loop here, or can me and John follow through on this? And I want to keep it residential.
I think we're kind of, as far as my understanding, is we're a little late to the game at this process. Right, Micah?
What's that? In terms of,
I mean, kind of already moving forward on.
there's two things under consideration. And the first one is going to be condemnation of the property. That's to remove the property. The second one would be consideration for ownership of the property, and that's where eminent domain would come into play. The first one, the resolution was signed and approved and published, and that would be for removing the property. And that's the complete cleanup of the lot, removing trash, removing concrete, any debris, anything else. All of that, once it's been accomplished, bidded by the city, approved, and moved forward with, the lien will be put on the property owner. And that would be the responsibility of the property owner to satisfy that lien. So any sale of the property or anything that happens after that, any transactions, wouldn't affect the buyer, it would affect the seller. And so I don't think in that particular instance, anyone would be out the worst for that, because the city wants to see the property removed. Most of the buyers want to see the property removed. And so any negative effect in terms of a lien would go against the seller. It wouldn't affect anyone's selling price at all. In terms of ownership, that's completely up to city council if they want to consider if they want to consider ownership, or if they want to consider taking ownership and selling it, or if they want to just let it go to the private sector and let there be a bidding war in the private sector. That's up there.
We've dealt with Mr. Kemple in the past with certain agreement that you may have. Someone says that they're willing to buy it, and then he plays games with the buyer, and things never end up working out, and then we're in the same spot. Me personally, I'd like to see the city proceed, and then if the rest of the governing body wants to let it go to auction, then you would have your opportunity, if that's what the rest of the governing body wants to do. But
I mean, I can save the city a lot of trouble in a time where you could work on other things besides concentrate on this over here, because we've got an understanding that house will be gone in 30 to 45 days. I guarantee you. City council can go to other issues of the city and quit wasting time on this subject.
Well, I'm only one person on the council, I guess.
And we'll have a formal consideration and discussion of this in September. We plan on addressing after Labor Day.
was what our original discussion for the calendar for deciding how we wanted to proceed.
Okay. Well, I'm just offering to save the city a lot of trouble and get it knocked down in 30, 40 days, so. I know you got
We
it.
just don't have a lot of confidence in Mr. Kemple's word at this point.
We've got a pretty solid understanding. He's ready to go. I've talked to him on the phone. I've got Kansas Title involved on this.
You are the third person that's addressed the governing body with an agreement with Mr. Kelly.
Well, this is a solid deal. He's ready to go. He's tired of jacking around with the city jacking around with him. I was on the phone with him for about 30 minutes last week, and he said, get it done. So I'm here to get it done.
Well, we'll certainly follow up with you. I will follow up, Micah and I, tomorrow with you, so we can kind of see where you're at and where Mr. Kemple's at, and we can certainly report that back to the council as we look at moving forward. But I don't think there's going to be a resolution here this evening.
I've got the wrecking ball ready to go. I've got bids. We've already discussed all this. Paperwork's done. Contract's in motion. So it's just, what I'm waiting for is an approval from the city. If I knock this house down and it's leveled, the yard's nice and mowed, that the city, this eminent domain thing is out the window.
Well, if he sold the property to Mr. Hilliard and the property has been demolished, the city's not, and up to code like we said it needed to be, the city's not involved anymore, are we?
I would defer to Ryan on the semantics, but on the surface, we would no longer be involved.
Because basically at this point, we're saying demolish the property, bring it up to where it needs to be. We've condemned it, we want it demolished and removed.
Yes.
Okay, so we have nothing to do, we don't own the property, we don't have.
Not at this time.
Right.
No. But
Basically.
the property's out of compliance.
Right.
So we have the right to go in and raise the property. And so it's up to the governing body whether it wants to proceed with that, or if it believes that Mr. Hilliard has a contract and is fine with going forward with that arrangement, allowing Mr. Hilliard to take care of that, in which case, yeah, probably wouldn't be any reason for the city to remain involved.
Michael, what do you guys think?
Until you're the owner and you demolish it, I think things progress as they are.
Well, I will be the owner as of probably 2 weeks, as soon as the Kansas Title sends me the title on it. We've already got a title search going on, so that should be coming in the next 3 or 4 days. I started that last week. As far as knocking the house down, I'm hearing this rumor about eminent domain. So are we all good with that, this eminent domain? If I knock the house down, I clean the lot up, the city's good with me and I'm good with the city, that's what I want to know.
Well, it's gonna end up in a bidding auction, and eventually it goes in the domain, I suppose.
Comply with that?
Right, but as long as it,
Time to pull the demolition permit.
Yeah, but he never did.
Because there are other parties interested in it too, so.
And then he gets like 60 days.
There are other parties
So it needs to
interested.
happen.
But Kemple has been given an issue, trouble here, and you guys are tired of that. I've talked to Kemple, and I've spent 30 minutes on the phone with him, and he's agreed, he's ready to go.
Special issue that's gotta be-
Let's get Kemple out of the loop and let me proceed.
One of my other problems is, I don't know if you know Mrs. Cole, the snow cone lady, she's interested in the property as well. And I think if you are able to make a deal with him, then, like you said from Ryan, we can't stop you. But I think if the city is involved, then we should allow it to go up to other options for people that are interested in that property as well. But I have no faith in Mr. Kemple. We've been through this, like Brian said once before. I don't believe he's true to his word, just based off of previous experiences. And I wish that I had more faith, but I don't. And I don't think it would be fair of the governing body if we were to cut such as Mrs. Cole out from the deal and allow you to swoop in. You might end up with it. I don't know. I don't know if we even really know. We haven't really made a decision yet. So I think that's all kind of up in the air.
That area is zoned residential.
Yes.
Okay. I personally have the house across the street. I want to see a house there. I want to see a park there. That's what I want to see. Because if you're talking about rezoning that to commercial, and we got little kids running across that street, the guy, I don't know if you've been there when the park is busy. It's a lot better for them to walk 450 feet up to Main Street, jaywalk over to the ice cream store, than it is for little kids to be running across that street. That street is hopping when that park is busy. I mean, and it's residential already. Let's keep it residential. That's my point. Give me 30 days. I'll have a contract with Kemple. I'll have the wrecking ball there probably within the next 15 days. That's all I'm asking.
How about we have Brian reach out to you in the morning? Do we have his contact information?
Yes, if he's in town, we have his information for utility.
Okay.
You want his phone number?
Kimball?
Yeah.
No, well, I was talking about your information, phone number and email.
We can get that information.
Okay.
Okay.
We'll have Brian reach out to you tomorrow to give you an update and maybe touch base with you and just go from there, talk about some of the other smaller details.
Okay. Again, this is residential lot. It's going to have to be rezoned.
Yeah.
The neighboring people don't want to rezone it. We want to keep it a residential lot. And that's what I want. I'd love for somebody to put a house up over there, and I probably will.
Sure.
So,
Well, thank you for coming and speaking your mind, and we'll definitely be open to consideration on everything. So,
okay, well, thanks for your time.
thank you very much.
Appreciate that.
All right. Anybody else? No one? Moving on. Item E. Appointments and proclamation. Appointment of Frank Petschke.
Before we get too far, there was an error on page 3. Consideration of police vehicle ale and replacement. I don't think what ale in the police vehicles are after.
I guess it's a step up from ethanol.
I'd like to change
Yeah, we'll
that.
fix that on the AP.
Honorable governing body, just another public library board appointment. So Frank Pesci was raised in Mentor, Ohio, graduated from Mentor High School, entered the U.S. Air Force and settled in Salt Lake City. So he worked as a mechanic and a body man in the trucking industry. After 26 years, moved to Klamath Falls, Oregon, to be a body shop foreman for a truck dealership. I worked there 1 year and then moved to Reno, Nevada, and became a body shop foreman at a Peterbilt truck dealership, and was offered a job with International Trucks and worked there until he retired in 2012. Him and his wife moved to Wichita to be closer to grandchildren and found a home in Goddard in 2013 and has lived here ever since. He's a member of the Goddard Lions Club, soon to be board member for the Goddard Library, and a leader of the senior group. He's also a member of the Ascension Lutheran Church and a Stephen Minister, which is a caregiving group. So is he re-upping his
He's
membership?
reappointed, yeah,
Okay.
it's a reappointment.
So I think probably some of you know Frank, and he's a local, and be happy to take a vote on this, or
Do we have a problem reappointing Frank? No? Do I have a motion?
Motion to re-employ Frank.
Motion by Brent,
Second.
second by Michael. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Okay. Consent agenda. We'll all take a look at accounts payable.
motion to approve the consent agenda.
Motion by Michael,
Second.
second by Sarah. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Okay, motion passes. Item H1.
Honorable Mayor and Council. Item H1 is the consideration for purchase of a vac trailer, also known as a hydro excavator. Little background, over the course of the year, Public Works crews conduct numerous water surface line repairs, water main repairs, culvert, ditch, and valve cleanings. That work is generally completed using either a full-size backhoe, or when the repair is close to existing utilities or is in a tight situation, they are dug by hand using a shovel. A hydro excavator is a tool that essentially allows you to spray a high-pressure jet of water into the dirt, make it into a muddy slurry, and vacuum it up with a very large hose. It offers the benefits, that is a benefit called soft digging. As I said, it's a process, it's a combination of suction and water to remove dirt and other materials from the ground. We can use it to daylight buried utilities, pothole to look for utilities, minimize disruption and impact to an area, and it leaves behind a negligible mess, which leaves behind less remediation after the work is completed. In the past, city owned a vac trailer hydro excavator, but when I came on board in the summer of 19, it had some prior mechanical issues, and we deemed that it was just inoperable. It was an old machine. So we sold it in 19. Since that time, we've either rented and or borrowed hydro excavator several times. Vermeer here in town, local company, got very good at letting us borrow one when we needed it. We were very thankful for that. Saved us anywhere from $500 to $1,000 per usage. As I said, it's $500,000 per usage when we rent them, so it's not cost effective to do it on a regular basis. And this machine would allow us to save a ton of time and leave a minimal impact at the job site when we use hydro excavation. That's what the trailer looks like. What we're asking to do is replace the old excavator that was sold in 2019 with a new Vermeer LP573 SGT hydro excavator. It is a gas engine, 1,000 CFM machine with a dual 100-gallon water tanks, a 500-gallon spoil tank, and as I said, a 1,000 CFM vacuum blower and a 38-horse gasoline engine. Couple pictures here. This is what the trailer looks like. This is a picture of some of its usage in the field. You can do things such as a single person go out and do a water dig versus having two people because you're not digging an actual hole. If you're putting in, it's as easy as if you're putting in a new sign, instead of even doing locate, you can go hydro excavate that hole and drop that sign right in. It's just another tool we can put in to help us clean things up, help us do water digs, help us with our everyday work.
Is that similar to a jetter then?
Well, it's not quite a jetter. It's very similar. A jetter, we did not get the jetter option on this because it raises the price about $20,000, and that is a little bit higher pressure stream of water. This still does a relatively high pressure stream that will allow you to do anything we need to do with it. For 20 grand, if we need a jetter, we can hire Mayer to do a lot of work at about $200 a pop.
We used to have a jetter and it was just a money pit.
Yeah, and that's with the high pressure, they can continue to be that way, but we chose not to go with a jetter on this. This is just a vac trailer. So there is no high pressure jetter on it. It has a high pressure hose, but it's not as high pressure as a jetter is.
There's pressure, but as he's saying, there's no afterburner to the pressure.
Exactly. It's exactly. It's a jet engine without an afterburner. A little bit of financials here. We chose Vermeer. I looked at other options, but Vermeer has been so good working with us, a local company. Like I said earlier, they would let us borrow one many times. If they had one available, they'd let us borrow one. They've worked great with us. This will be, if we purchase this will be serviced at Vermeer, local mechanics and whatnot. Cost of this item is $63,601. Would be allocated 100% to Equipment Reserve Fund. The fund balance is currently $570.
As of this month, it's $579,309.
Okay, $579,209. So that's a little bit off on that. It's going up. Up is good.
Up is good.
Up is good when it comes to fund balances. legal, it's approved as a form. Any additional questions?
I've got no problem with it. You got a motion?
I'll make the motion to approve the purchase of that.
Motion is that.
That.
Motion by Sarah,
Second.
second by Brent. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Okay, motion passes.
Thank you, council.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you for
Take care.
listening.
Yes, take care.
Take care.
Honorable Mayor and City Council, this is item H2, zoning edition R4, high density residential. So just a quick background, zoning classifications were adopted as a regulatory control over land development, and as market trends change, zoning classifications should change as well to maximize land value and property taxes without compromising health, safety, and welfare. With residential housing considered a national issue and demand for rental properties increasing within the city limits of Goddard, this new zoning classification allows for a streamlined entitlement process with revised bulk regulations for creativity, design, and density. These new zoning classifications need to be approved first by the Planning Commission and finally by the governing body, and once approved by the governing body, they will become official 30 days after publication in the city newspaper. On May 10th, 2021, the Planning Commission and the governing body discussed the idea of R4 high-density residential in detail. The Community Development Director, being myself, created a draft ordinance reflecting these comments, which is being presented today. On June 14th, the Planning Commission approved unanimously the new zoning classification. So in the agenda packet, you'll see what's also being reflected up here on the screen, and basically these are the summary of what's trying to be accomplished with this new zoning classification. It allows higher density. It allows single-family and all types of residential structures. It increases potential higher valuation properties to capture greater property taxes. Bulk regulations basically create a buildable envelope within a lot. By minimizing those, it allows for more building to be placed on a lot. It also allows for higher buildings to be built as well with an increased height restriction. So, increased marketable land value for individual property owners, because if you go from a lower density zoning classification to a higher density, there's more potential for development on that lot. And so a property owner who owns a lot, if it gets rezoned from lower to higher, they can do more with that lot. They can potentially sell it to more potential buyers. So that's what allows that. The R4 high-density residential zoning classification has been included in a form of draft that has been displayed on the next slide and on Exhibit H.3A in your agenda packet. Permitted uses: any residential development that is allowed within the zoning classification R1, R2, and R3, including multifamily dwellings such as condos and apartments, but not limited to these. And the reason we're including R1, R2, R3 is because that prohibits the idea of nonconformity. If you had an R1 lot and it got rezoned to R4, but R4 prohibited single-family detached, and there was an existing single-family detached on that lot already, it would immediately become non-conforming. And that can cause financial issues because banks reach out all the time and ask, hey, is this an allowable use? And if it's not, then they want to step away from any type of financing or underwriting. So that allows for anybody to take that upon themselves. They can upzone it and they won't impact them financially in a negative way. Uses not permitted would certainly be heavy manufacturing. We want to keep that mostly in industrial. Large retail stores obviously is going to be commercial. Industrial, by its own definition, would be an industrial district. And large commercial developments, we want to keep that mostly on large corridors like 54. Conditional uses, this one becomes a little bit more unique. Low intensity land uses will be allowed, subject to review by the Planning Commission. Such uses will include, but are not limited to, the following. Boutique shops must be built in conjunction with a dwelling unit. So what we're asking for here with bakeries, small retail, coffee shops, or a bookstore are very small commercial footprints, like I said, boutique shop or a flower shop or a bookstore, but they'll be built in tandem with a residential lot on top. So you have what's called a mixed-use development. Some kind of it's a new type of combination of land uses that maximizes both the availability for residential units, but also has a commercial component on there as well. And having a commercial with residential on top increases the amount of residential units that are in the city with people looking for more rental properties, while also having a percentage of the property being taxed at a commercial rate if somebody wanted to build, like, let's say, a boutique shop or a flower shop or a coffee shop and have a studio on top. The coffee shop portion of that property would actually be assessed at the 25%, so you have a higher tax value coming out of that property with the residential unit on top, which would be assessed at the 11.5%. Bookstores must be built in conjunction with dwelling units. So all of these are saying basically if you wanted to have some sort of small boutique shop in a residential district, you still must have a dwelling unit in there so we don't offset any of our existing residential units. Anything not specifically listed in permitted uses that could be allowed as a low-intensity land use but must be in conjunction with the residential unit. All such uses must be approved by the Planning Commission. So this allows for that review period. Any conditional use has to go first before the Planning Commission and finally before the City Council. So that is something that will trigger that review period. If somebody was asking for something that could potentially be a conflict, but they would feel like it would be beneficial for the city, it'll go before Planning Commission, finally before City Council for review and approval. Minimum lot area, none. Minimum lot width, none. Minimum lot depth, none. The reason is this came up as a planning commissioner reached out to me and said, hey, have you ever experienced a tornado? I said, no. I'm from California. We have earthquakes, so there's a different experience there. But he's saying if a city got hit by a tornado, for example, Joplin, and the lots prohibited a rebuilding of that building, then the person would be in limbo because they couldn't pull any building permits. It'd be considered non-conforming. If you have a non-conforming property on a lot and it's demolished by a natural disaster, and 100% or 50% or greater for that matter, then they can't rebuild it. So by saying that there is no minimum lot width, or minimum lot depth, then in the event of a natural disaster, they could immediately start going forward with rebuilding the property and not have to consider the property non-conforming. Maximum structure height, we did sell it at 40 feet. That's not too abnormal from R1 already. Yard requirements, we didn't want to go away. Well, originally I did want to go away with no setbacks entirely, simply because once again it maximizes the land value that can for potential for that lot. Planning Commission was not necessarily keen with that. They wanted to have a 10-foot and a 6-foot and a 10-foot. And they said simply because if you're going to have an R4 in an already R1 district, there has to be some sort of staggering with existing residential properties. And I thought that made sense. So we wanted to incorporate that. Design guidelines, this is an F item that you don't normally see in a zoning classification, but we wanted to put it in there. All developments within the zone that are not single-family attached or duplex must be accompanied by a site plan. So this is a further review period. The site plan triggers more review that has to go before the Planning Commission. Site plans shall be required for all duplexes that are arranged around a courtyard. This is already standard. This is already included in our subdivision regulations. Developments can't occupy all that lot space allowable. That's basically in that buildable envelope, but must account for parking within that space. The only areas that really allow for non-off-street parking would be a central business district. Developments shall maximize the space first abutting street frontage. The reason we do that, and we have included that in the design guidelines, because it engages the pedestrians. And so when you have more development along frontage, pedestrians are actually engaged in that space more, and then you have more feet on the street. So it includes for potential for more commercial marketability if you have a more aesthetic frontage. Financial, small publication cost per state law and legally approved as to form. Recommendation is recommending that the governing body, 1, waive the reading of the ordinance. That would be a motion. And number 2, sorry, I have one twice. Approve the inclusion of zoning classification R4 high density residential outlined in exhibit H.3A, and that would be first the motion, a second, and followed by a roll call on that one. But I am open to questions and comments.
Is that R4, does that mean that you can have an apartment complex or something coming in? Is that?
That's correct. R4 would allow for apartment complexes, yes, but of course, apartment complexes take up greater lot space than a typical like quarter acre, so that would have to be a provision in there. But yeah, it'd be similar. R3 allows for apartments, and this would be an R3 or R4 would allow for apartments as well.
And when it's rezoned to R4, does the people around it have to agree to allowing it to be rezoned to that?
So when the rezoning, first what happens by state law, we have to publish it in the city newspaper. We have to allow 20 days to elapse before it can be considered before the Planning Commission. So first it gets published in the city newspaper. At the same time, I send out letters to everyone within 200 feet saying, hey, we're going to have a public meeting. Please come if you want to give feedback. And so everyone within 200 feet, and this is done by a title company, will get a letter saying we're having a rezoning consideration. And the reason, and in that narrative statement, there'll be the reason for the rezoning. If it's apartment complex, they'll say the reason for the rezoning is thus, and it'll be apartment complex. And then everyone will receive those letters. That will go before the Planning Commission, and the Planning Commission will consider that. Everyone's allowed to give feedback during citizens' comments, just like we had today, and Planning Commission will consider that. There is allowed a protest period, of course, if somebody says, if the majority of the people are saying that we're going to protest this, that would require the file of protest with the city clerk, and there's provisions in there for that. If the Planning Commission takes into account everything, they don't necessarily have to reject something simply because the majority of people do not want it. Planning Commission, if they approve it, would then go before City Council. City Council, at their discretion, could review it and decide if it is considered an acceptable land use given its proximity to residential and everything else to be taken into consideration, at which point then, if they approve it, if you approve it, it would go before, we would publish it in the city newspaper, and it'd become officially rezoned as R4 at that point, after 30 days.
So where's exhibit H3A?
It should be in your agenda packet.
If I can find it.
Is there not an H3A in the agenda packet? I apologize for that, it was included originally. H3A is basically what you just saw
It's the
here.
ordinance that you have.
Oh, it's the ordinance, it's not a,
It's not a specific, yeah.
oh, I thought it was outlining an actual part of town or something.
Oh, no, H3A is Exhibit H.
Outlined in,
Exhibit
that's right,
H.3A,
not like
correct, yes.
An
So
outline of a.
it's H3A is an exhibit, which is in the agenda packet, so it's just, if you click on,
Excuse me,
no problem there. I was
a little slow.
a bit of palpitation, I thought maybe I was.
Yeah.
Not slow.
And is this taking place in commercial then?
No, it's just a higher density residential zoning classification. It's got a little bit of a commercial component in it, but very small footprint. It allows for a little bit more flexibility in terms of mixed use, but it's not going to take the place of commercial. We're not going to have a Walmart in a residential district. It just doesn't work. So, or something along those lines.
You know, the taxation, or is the taxation for that commercial part of it as high as the regular commercial?
Yes, so commercial is assessed at 25% across the county and Central County. So if anything that's commercial is going to be 25%. Residential is assessed at 11.5%. So if you had a building that had commercial on the bottom but residential on top, the bottom portion would be assessed at 25%, and the top portion would be assessed at 11.5%.
They divvy it up by square feet.
Based on square footage, correct? Yeah.
So they take the square feet, this is just my real estate right now, that works, is they take the total square feet of the building, whatever the commercial portion of it is, that's taxed at the commercial rate, and then everything else that's residential.
We actually have an example of that right now on Main Street at 109 North Main. That property over there has got a residential unit on top of a commercial. That's being assessed at the residential rate on top, commercial rate on the bottom.
This will allow us to, if an apartment complex wanted to move in, if they wanted to put some commercial units below, I don't see them doing that, but if that was, it gave them the option to do so.
Mm-hmm.
And there are a lot of apartment complex builders kind of moving towards those ideas, because then they'll lease the ground below to a CVS, Walgreens, maybe a fast food restaurant, to where they can get another income stream off that property.
Yes, very much so.
It services that area.
And it's actually the original turn of the century Main Street configuration where you had commercial transaction on the ground floor with apartments up above. So it's kind of going back to the roots of downtown.
The real room, yeah.
I'll make a motion to waive the reading.
Motion by Larry,
Second.
second by Sarah. All in favor say aye.
Wait, I think it was Michael.
Oh! What? I heard Sarah first.
Sarah was starting.
Kid my good ear.
Well,
All in favor?
Aye.
Motion to adopt.
I'll make a motion to approve the inclusion of the zoning classification R4 high density residential outlined in exhibit H3A.
Motion by Sarah,
Second.
second by Michael. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Oh, it's roll call.
Councilmember Zimmerman?
Yes.
Councilmember Leland?
Yes.
Mayor Larkin?
Yes.
Councilmember Trailer?
Yes.
Councilmember Proctor?
Yes.
It will be ordinance 873.
Thank you very much. Appreciate
Thank
it.
you, Micah.
Honorable Mayor and City Council, as this is our second meeting, you'll see just progress slides of our residential development around town, followed with some updates on items that you've taken action on previously and what we have forthcoming. You can see the progress of the Starbond site with the fourth floor fully framed out and the side boards going up, and then obviously the roof will follow. More construction in Arbor Creek, and this is the community center, which is in the center of the development there. More housing looking back toward the west in the elementary school of Arbor Creek, phase 1, with phase 2 being extended and coming along the rear side that was recently approved in July. Cloverleaf progressing. There's additional construction for Elk Ridge on the far northwest corner of that addition on our final phase there. With the grading and street layouts that you can see with the silt fences for the stormwater drainage, and then detention ponds as well for Arbor Creek looking back to the northwest of Goddard. You may have seen that we had our 2020 census received, our population being 5,084, which is a 17% increase over our 2010 population of 4,344. And then as we start to get more data set breakdowns and distributions, we'll pass those along as we receive them. Our pavement maintenance, in April, we approved the lowest and best bid, Circle C, for $100,171.50. We'll have this beginning late September, early October, and I have the maps included in the original agenda report for that issuance, as the extensive nature of the rehab was such that we couldn't fit it all onto a slide that you could actually see. Water well maintenance, water well 4, crews were on site today. They'll be back tomorrow to set the pump and complete the control wiring, and hopefully it'll be in operation. Well 7, the submersible pump's being replaced under warranty and should arrive in 7 to 10 days, at which time they'll also look at the casing and get the concrete base poured after the sand's collected out, and then at that point the pump will be scheduled for installation as well.
We get them charged anything? Is it complete?
On well 7, we had a little brief discussion on that today, and didn't have to push too hard, but basically on the pump was that we got to pay for it. So,
And the library received a $25,000 ARPA grant for a bookmobile, which this is a photo of the RV that was purchased. Improvements that they're looking for include flooring, chairs, desks, bookshelves, handicap ramp accessibility, exterior wrap. I've included the letter for distribution for the flyer, for which donations and sponsorship levels can be made to the Friends and Foundation of the Goddard Public Library, which is a tax-deductible 501c3.
April, how are you going to wrap that? Are you going to wrap it with your face, big face of you on it? No? No?
I'm not going to be on there.
So we'll be reporting more on that as the project evolves, and obviously we're helping out where we can. And I wanted to thank everyone for coming out for National Night Out, and had a really good turnout. What we have coming up, because of the Labor Day holiday, our next meeting will be on Tuesday, September 7th. We'll have some grass management discussion for Linear Park, so we can try and improve the quality of the grass that's in the park there, and get it a little firmer and more user friendly for actual use. And then we'll have our budget hearing as well, and then we'll also and the 16th have our building design standards and our annual September standard traffic ordinance and the Uniform Public Offense Code, which is the annual adoption of those two ordinances, which codifies the legislative changes that occurred during the 2020 legislative session. So that concludes my report.
Thank
There
you,
are no
Ron.
questions. Thank you.
Larry? What do you have?
Yes, noticed that we had a good turnout for the
National Night Out?
National Night Out, yeah.
How many people do we know? We have a rough estimate on how many people showed up? Don't know. It was quite a few. I was pretty impressed. I really was. And they were out till late too, weren't they? Because of the fireworks show. It was pretty good.
Yeah, that's all I had, really.
Yeah. Sarah?
Now, I just wanted to thank the chamber and the police department and public works and everybody else that was involved with making National Night Out a success. Thank you, you two and Lance for sacrificing your faces for pie
Not
throwing.
much to sacrifice.
That was pretty fun. So, yeah, it was a good evening.
Michael?
Yeah, again, thanks to everyone who helped make National Night Out a success, especially the chamber. They did a lot of work on that. Yeah, I mean, I know everyone had a great time and enjoyed smacking me in the face with flies.
Brad?
I think I'm good tonight.
You think you're good?
Yeah.
Well, I don't want to beat too much, but National Night Out was great. I want to say thank you, bro, for picking Vermeer. I like buying local. That's awesome that we're able to do business with them. How's everything at Walmart going?
Doing A-okay.
I seen that the restrooms were down the other day. What was going on?
Brooke came out.
Yeah, he went on one side there, you got shut
Yeah, we know where you've
Did we
been.
get
A
it
crushed
fixed?
pipe.
Rusted pipe?
Crushed.
Oh, crushed pipe.
So I think we have it up and running.
Damn, Brooke.
It's their private service line, we went out to help them locate some things, but.
But we're back up and running?
We got back up Sunday night, and so hopefully everything's A-okay.
Good,
Yet
good.
to be determined.
Ah.
We'll keep flushing them and see what happens.
All right, now we got an executive session. We got to go into for how long? 30 minutes? Do I have a motion?
I'll make a motion to recess into executive session for consultation of an attorney on matters that would be deemed privileged in attorney-client relationship between the city attorney, the city administrator, and community development director. We will reconvene the open meeting in the city council chamber at 8:15 p.m.
Second.
Motion by Michael, second by Sarah, all in favor, aye.
Thank you.
Okay.
Get in, and if it comes against you, nope, you're beat.
Wait for them to show up.
Yeah, we have to.
Ms. Corn, how old is your next?
Isn't
Pretty good.
yeah, we built it in 2003.
Here, let's do this. Let the record show that there was no binding action taken during the executive session. Do I have a motion to adjourn?
So motion.
Motion adjourned.
Motion by Sarah, second
Second
by
by
Michael. All in
No,
favor,
Brett.
say aye.
Aye.
Aye.